Ooh, the little green film kind.
Okay, I am definitely not the only kid who fantasized about trying those juicy looking grubs in Lion King. We've all been hungry kids. Every dish from cartoons, no matter whether they are highly detailed as Miyazaki's drawing or just some color blobs, were some of the most attractive things on screen for us. Cartoon food, no matter how simple or crazy they always look better than real life food. It's not simply because how perfectly they're drawn or animated, but most importantly, the narrative and emotional significance they carry, especially in nostalgic IPs we watched as a kid. It is a pity that we're told not to play while eating as a kid, but now, imagine, you put on AR goggles and hex gloves, you're a character in an animated fantasy world, sitting around a table with your beloved characters and sampling all the cartoon stylized food you dreamt to try as a kid, be it 2D insects or suspicious gray stuff, or 3D render ratatouille. Dinner time is not TV time. It's theater time. It's amusement park time. It's playtime. Well, you might think now that, okay, Disneyland already sells themed food and people buy them despite the ridiculous prices. Yes, but it's a bit similar to turning Disney classic animation into live-action remakes.
No one asked. It literally.
When you watch the gray stuff from Beauty and the Beast, or the collapsing birthday cake from Sleeping Beauty, the unctuous Krabby Patty from SpongeBob, the rotisserie chicken Tom and Jerry, the cookies begging to be eaten in Alice in Wonderland, the golden honey from Winnie the Pooh, the flavor and texture you imagine in your head, the more obscure and questionable it is, the more you want it. You want the pen and ink drawing version of these food because they're fantastical. Seeing the gray stuff, for example, made in real life that I saw in Disneyland, you hold it and you're like, okay, it's just buttercream, I guess. It destroys the fantasy and fun. However, when you're immersed in an animated world with actual animated and stylized food in front of your own eyes, it doesn't even matter if the food is just regular food. It would taste like a dream. Since your imagination plays such an important role in determining the flavor of the cartoon food, before the experience, there should be an interface in your AR glasses that allows you to select flavors, textures, scent, and temperature, so it customizes the food to give guests their very own experience that adheres to their imagination. It's an opportunity for theaters, amusement parks, production companies in Hollywood to merge with restaurants and create a new business model. Eat your fantasy. Different from traditional restaurants where the seasonal ingredients and cultural flavors are the selling point, right now the animation style and rendering art direction are the new flavors.
I like this a lot. I think conceptually it's very smart. I'm curious if you knew about a VR experience that was done at the Venice Film Festival a few years back called Umami, which attempted to do this, and it was remarkably successful. They basically, you saw the visuals, they put trackers inside the food, and they were basically just like little soy protein things, but your brain kind of put it together, and they had flavors like steak and things, but it wasn't actually steak that you ate, and it was interesting. So I'm curious if you had any inspiration from that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I saw that and I thought it was so cool. It's like, oh my gosh, the future is so near us. It's almost tangible in a few years. So yeah, I took like a different take. Instead of flavors, it's more like a synthetic, not the word Cynthia, like there's a word of all your like senses kind of merged together, especially if it's something that's not real, that's just animated and cartoon like. You're like, this is just fantasy. Like no matter what the taste is like, it could be a soy block and then you animate Pooh Bear honey over it, it's just, yeah, it would be a dream to me at least.
So you see this more of an AR overlay rather than a full VR immersive experience?
Right. Yeah, because for me, at least, VR is kind of an isolating experience. And it's just very constricting. You feel like you always feel this thing on your head, like tightening up your face. It's just isolating. And I think dining experience, theater experience, amusement park is all a social thing. And I think it's important to have like a lightweight thing that you just put on, like my glasses, and then you're just with friends, but in a fantastical world.
And so I love the idea, and I think people would absolutely flock to it. but however, I'm wondering about the practicality of it. Have you thought about, I know Ted was talking about the little tracking and things like that, like the actual eating of the food. You know, you have to kind of play with your food. You have to move it around the plates, break it apart, put it on a fork, move it up to your face. Like, how would you track that if you are overlaying AR into stylizing? You know, I mean, because yeah, certainly the idea of putting doing a style, a style overlay, totally, I get how we do that. I'm wondering how you kind of deal with that, like breaking it up, moving it around, moving it to your mouth, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, sorry I didn't explain it more clear in the video, but I did mention hex gloves, though I didn't put an image on it. But I don't know what the technology is going to look like in a few years, but I think with, hex gloves, that gives a more steady tracking point, like kind of motion capture things on your hands. You can have several points like on your fingers or on the fork. So it really tracks the motion. And then maybe about the food, I think I didn't really think of, like, for example, if it was a steak, I wasn't really sure how we're gonna really track different pieces because you can't predict how people cut it. But I think maybe we just have to design the food presentation to make it probably bite-sized. Like, in Beauty and the Beast, they're all bite-sized little desserts, so those might be more practical. But I'm sure I can figure out a way to, maybe use fondant or like some tracking patterns for AI to recognize so that it can make it more smooth and immersive.
And thank you. And my other question is, based on the challenge itself, how does this experience, it seems to be a very in the moment experience. So how does it, how do you continue the experience before and after the meal, other than watching the movie?
Oh, yeah. So ever since after the pandemic, I realized there's like a bloom of immersive experience, like such as immersive theaters, immersive theater plus dining, like all that. So I've been to this musical that you begin with, like you enter the door and then it's a scene, but you're a part of it. So you start as a scene and you kind of do an improvisational bits with the actors, and then you're led to a bar where you dine and drink with all themed food and a themed environment, and then you're lead to several like scene set that's from the musical. You can take pictures, and then the musical starts, and then afterwards there are more secret rooms you can go explore and take pictures. And I like that for like a more prototypal type of pipeline type of flow. So you probably would enter to engage in a like an immersive pop-up theater experience type of thing. Like, for example, I'm just gonna use Pooh Bear because I love Pooh Bear. Like you enter the 100-acre woods, you play with Pooh, or you find him stuck, you like engage in the scene, oh, you have to rescue Pooh and all that. And then we celebrate, we enter the dining room, and then we, I don't know, eat honey cakes, that. So it kind of all plays into this sweet narrative. Yeah, so it's like a theater plus dining experience.
Plus, I think Chris and I had the same idea of a virtual food fight, and you don't have to worry about cleaning up any mess. So
That's smart.
Well, the mess is a different color.
true.
Okay.